crazy dance that's been happening for so long.
Yeah, and you're you're um, you're bringing it into a three-dimensional structure. Sort of was spoken to, and I heard Star Child, and I was given the clues. I was always looking for something about the stars, the star people, and then I had no idea what that was until obviously doing the research. And then years ago, when I was 8, I remember having the vision of a star burning bright, and it was really sort of beautiful, bright, and I dated it in 1993. I called it my dream star, and I drew a heart, and within the heart there is a star. And I couldn't understand what it was, but I just so happened to come across a book with an image on the net called Solara, and it had an image of a star, exactly like how I'd drawn when I was 8. And I'm reading it now, and I'm going through the stages, and what I found out is that they did an activation in 1993 to awaken certain energies within the, I guess, the people have come on this earth like us to remember, to put together the pieces, the missing pieces. And when I met David Lonebear, it was again a part of the star people, the missing piece. And I'm so glad that we've connected. I don't know if I was looking for you somehow, you know, I'm here to be with you on this journey, you know, to work together, and however you feel like in the presence of just even mentally, you know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. That's kind of why I think we got connected, right? You just can tell there's particular reaction to certain things, but then there's that deeper connection where everybody's like, okay, we're seeing the same things. We've got these, different waypoints that have all led us here. And so then that becomes a familiarity, and you just find that in another somehow. And so you can kind of recognize it even before you really know each other. But I think that's the beauty of it, right? Because if we can steer within those pathways, then that's our journey. That's a guided journey that we're, intent on following, rather than the chaos of what everything that could become. And that's fine. We all want that. We all want the myriad of choices in life. But to know that, there's a way to steer, and the way to steer is to find these others who, just share these similar shapes as we are.
Yeah, definitely. There is, I'm trying to think. So they all knew about the universal code. Many of the ancients, all the Mayans, they all had it encrypted on the stones. And I'll just show you a second. Okay, I'll just read this part. That the electrical potential on the Earth's surface can be measured at different points, enabling the circulation of the magnitudes and directions of the telluric currents, and hence the Earth's conductance. Earth's magnetic field strength was first measured by Carl Friedrich Gauss in 1835, and has been measured repeatedly since then, as the field has shown relative decay for about 10% over the last 150 years. The locations of the magnetic poles are not static. They wander as much as 55 kilometers every year. Sun and moon's rotations, solar flares, and probably interplanetary influences. Animals include birds. And just the last bit I'll show you is this. The ancient wisdoms of the universal language of life was mapped on stones. So they've got the three. Can you see? The Trinity, the Holy Trinity, the triptych code structures. So they all knew what it meant. They all knew how to use it. Like Frau Life in the Forbidden City of Beijing, China. This palace was home to 24 emperors of the Ming and Qing dynasties. Like the Sphinx, the food dogs were a symbol of protection to the buildings and the inhabitants, and also they were considered to be the guardians of knowledge. And then you've got the Frau Life at the Temple of Osiris.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. What happened to us? It's like, yeah, there's a lot.
It's kind of great to be buried in the mystery of it too. If you think of what's exciting, it is remembering, right? Because it's sort of something that feels as if you were supposed to get there but the unknowing of it is the journey that makes it exciting, because everything is an uncovering, and you do
Mm.
get to feel like these things are coming together so precisely and so, perfectly in time, and what it means, the ripple of what it means to find one unlocks the next, unlocks the next. So it's this ocean that keeps happening. So I always kind of look at it like that, because a lot of people can get frustrated with, all these things are, just remnants, 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 and it means this to someone and this to someone else. But the collective, as you really begin to swim in it, those connections that are true, and you know what I mean, to kind of fit these pieces together. And the more you do that, the more solid that dance floor becomes, and then you just start to be able to move with it and travel it. So yeah.
It's so simple. Well said. It's the most simplest thing, really. But the you've got to understand the complexities. But if you really break it down, it's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
But your device is basically everything that we are. You put the universe in that device. The universe, that device is the universe. It is the universal mechanism of life. The codes of life is all in that one device. That is what it is. And now it's like the next level. That will be what you're doing now with that machine, that device, that thing that will come in.
That's wild, isn't it? I don't think I've ever talked to anybody like live about it, and it's just sort of like, wow, it's so cool to hear that. And it feels right, like that resonates with me, because that all that is placed in there. There's no doubt that all that is placed in there, and it's not difficult either. That's what's beautiful about it. You can look at it in a many different way, perspective, different lenses, different angles of it, but it's all true. It's all put together on purpose for that reason, and therefore it speaks. And that's all you can ever ask for creating a piece of anything, right? So it's so great to hear that back from you. I really appreciate that. It's very kind praise.
Yes, I recognize it. I really do. And I think the more people recognize it. And I think during this time when we're going through our transition, there's a lot of things that are happening around the world, just that are not distractions, but part and parcel are distractions, because I've monitored the Earth's solar flares, and it is increasing. Like there's a lot of oof that's coming in, and that's activating us because we've forgotten who we are. So your device is like the mirror. Literally, when you said that thing is the mirror, that is, you're looking at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's gonna be quite overwhelming to so many people. It's gonna take time, if not a few years, for people to get their heads around it. But you're starting at 0 point, again, to build on that. Like a flower in the mines, they have the spiral, or the Mauis, they have the spiral, which is 0, the beginning. And you're kind of creating that. I really believe in what you're doing. Yeah, definitely some good stuff. I'm originally, my mission was to be a singer songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
Was using my voice to write music, be a star. All of that's completely just doesn't exist. It was just a false reality. But the one thing I think that stuck was many years ago, I was told by this woman, I had a reading, and she said that I will find people that are very, very old, very ancient, that go further back to Atlantis times, further back than Atlantis. We will meet again. And she goes, I don't understand what it is, but you're on a mission. At that time, I hadn't had a lot of the downloads and memory, but then they started coming in, and then it made sense that this is a mission that you come in to do, Will, like to activate and slowly remind people that who they are. Like, we are here to remind people of who they are, but then the practicalities of it is the next stage, because we can think it, but we have to be it. So we have to be it by, okay, so I'm gonna actively get in this thing and activate my ultimate experience of being human, like Hugh, activating all of what it is to be human, yeah.
Yeah, and to reveal that in more people than not, meaning if that was something that we could do and that was a way to, find what true love meant to you, what your dreams really were, did you ever slow down enough to just think about that and think about what that meant, not just for self, but for the other, for the whole? Like, to me, that's where it all becomes clear, is when you realize we're not in a rush and
Mm.
we are here to put something back together. So it, you know, spend time thinking about it. Put some focus into it, right? So
Yeah.
that to me is great. I love hearing your words about it, because I do feel like that is an important thing that we can do every day. Every day begins anew, and that point of origin, if we put it into an object or we put it into an affirmation that we make for ourselves, all those are points that are, expansive from when they begin, and you can live inside that. You don't have to go along this other thing that feels like it's already pre-planned for you. You can always have a new way to make your move.
Beautifully said. Yeah.
Hmm.
And like, when obviously as time goes on, I think more and more things will sort of be revealed of where we're all going, as a society. At the same time, whilst I guess we're doing our work, uh, doing like with your drawings, illustrations, building your machine, it's all part and parcel with the journey. There's some people I know in the States. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Colorado.
Oh,
I'm in
like
Boulder.
there's a guy called Ross Barrable. He's a harp inventor. He creates harps, and he uses the Pythagorean scale to make wind harps.
Okay, yeah.
He's oh, that's weird. He's actually created metal works geometrically built. So
Okay,
you could stand in the center and you can ring one of his gongs
there you
that
go.
he makes. I can always put you in touch with him at some point.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, that makes sense. That touches right on that thing that we were talking about before. Because
Mm,
to me, what I find so interesting is that it all is here already. Meaning, if we talk about that as a remembrance and a thing that is being uncovered from before, it means it's already here. It's already been. So there's solace in that you feel like, okay, it's just an idea of getting back to remembering what it all was and
mm,
finding that elegant connection back to it. There's a
mm-hmm,
brute force way in, and there's a way of wisdom, right? And wisdom takes time, because you kind of have to experience it to look back on it, to really feel that threading of how it all made sense, or was a story for you to open up or kind of even be a part of, right? Because we're all writing our notes in the column as we go, and we bring this back up. So I don't know what my point was there, but that's what I felt like saying.
yeah. When did you start creating your pieces? What was the year? Do you remember?
It was 2 years ago from now, so I guess it would have been 2019, early 2019, maybe 2018. I could go back
Mm.
and find out when that was. I know exactly when it was, because there's actually a post that I have a date stamp on, right? So I can go find out what that was. Because I remember having that idea because of something that was asked of me. And it
Mm.
triggered this whole thing of the concept, the idea of time, what it was going to like. It was there in a flash, right? It was one of those. So I was like, okay, now I got something to do. I got to get to work. But again, it was one of those things where it wasn't. It just was going to happen through time, and that will come to light as well, of why and how that sort of plays music behind the whole thing, right? Because it's not always just the object you're looking at or artwork that you're taking in or feeling that you're having. It's all those other things that grew that align and create that to happen. And that's hard to capture sometimes, but it's just it's a technique. It's a method of care, right? Stewardship, to say
Mm.
this is
Mm.
important for these reasons, whether you know in your core what they are or not, their intent. So you put the special care in and attention to the detail and give it the time that
Yeah.
it needs. It's like growth, like you said, it is based on the flower of life. And what does a flower do? It blooms and then it fades. then it reconstitutes, right? So it's a wave as well.
Because I am in 2017, I had a dream of this man, and wide-eyed, I held this man's face with such conviction. I said, "You have the gift. The universe depends on it. Wake up. You know it. That's why you're doing this. Drinking to numb your senses." He just gazed back, eyes alive, like he was holding the galaxy in them, which he was. And yeah, it was just like, I just remember, like, when they're saying wake up, you know, and his eyes had the galaxies in them. It was just like, whoa.
That's powerful. I love that.
I just wanted to share that with you, because I think
that's very interesting. That's impactful to me for sure. There's a deeper thread to like what that means to me, because there is something about knowing what you know and knowing so far further than what you know, and kind of being back here taking steps towards that, right? You know what I mean? It's sort of like, if you have a far reach, very high level imagination and connectivity, you can live way far forward, right? And bring that back to now. You really can. But yet you enjoy the bliss of not knowing. You begin to understand that letting go and not knowing everything is just more fun, right? So it's like, that's where these creative people start to buzz in and out, because they have that feeling and they can be right in line with it. And you see that when they're, you know, when they're most lit up on their path and just doing exactly what they should be doing, like that authenticity comes through. And then you see where they also kind of want to forget and they want to experience it new again, as if it was delivered once more, right? And that's what's so interesting about our intellect, or our consciousness, is we are all that same thing recurring over itself, but with everybody's experience as a baseline. So, right, you can kind of pick and choose what you feel within humanity, but also know that you're a part of it. And this whole thing is moving. So, right, if you play the best music and bring this many people with you, there's an effect to that whole thing moving that way. And that's when you talk about wanting to be a singer and knowing that you have that in your voice, because that's a powerful thing to have, an emotive language of story and passion, right? So whether it's to become a star or just to like affect somebody one day, to make them smile and make them cry, make them feel something, these are important gifts.
I definitely know that I'm using my voice for the meditations that I do. I do the silver thread meditations, and I love how you said that as well, like how we are enjoying and going with the motion at the same time. That's where you can learn and play. It's like keeping that naivety there, because I think when you do that, you can offload, and then poof, you get another revelation, as it were, because your head's not too full. But I started doing the meditations when I was a PA. I've got a high spirit flute that I bought, and something said, now, do it now. You got to play, you got to experiment now. I was like, oh, let's do this. And I went through the motions. I visualized a crystalline grid under all of these people, and walking them through the transitions of letting go of anything that you have within you. It's almost like dismantling the negative energy. That's what I was putting them through, that process, bringing them, visualizing into the water, and the water being the objective to release it underneath them for it to wash away. And I use my voice in singing and just tuning my voice in certain ways, because I had a dream that I was singing to earth, and just by hitting a certain frequency, I was being told you can bring the seed into flower just by hitting certain notations. And I didn't understand it until like years later. So I was like, let's incorporate certain tunings with the high spirit flute, which is in 432 hertz. And a few people, like this woman, had an experience. That's why it's called the silver thread, where she said she saw a silver thread coming from me connecting to her. She was 60 years old, a corporate woman that just sits, you know, as a PA, like nothing that enables her to see anything or spirituality or what have you. But I'd always pick up something within her that was quite intuitive. And so she said that she saw I was standing and the river was coming from me and the thread was coming from me, and she was being directed to that energy, and she was connected to this thread as I was connected to this thread. And she said that it was so overwhelming, because when I stopped the meditation, she could still see it. She was still there. It's like something was revealed, or she was in some other plane energetically, because she elevated her body and her mind through frequency somehow, I'm assuming, because that's what I used. And I remember after I stopped, she was going like this, like in the room.
Trying to shake it off.
Yeah. Like, when she told me that she was trying to shake it off, that's what it was. And I was like, okay, that's why my elders were telling me this. It's like, this is the work. So I will use my voice and things, work with people as of when needed to access something that's there energetically somehow. I don't know. Yeah. But all in good time. Yes. But Will, I'm gonna have to go soon, because I've got my dad's stepfather's birthday.
Okay. Enjoy that. That'll be fun. Your dad's stepfather's birthday?
My stepfather's birthday.
Your stepfather. Okay. It's like going up.
But yeah, if there's anything you want to just share before we go off, and we'll have a catch up again like soon.
Yeah, no, that was really nice to kind of talk and connect, and thank you so much for showing me your book and your work that's been going into that. That's fantastic. It hits all the footprints of where I've been. I can tell right away. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to speaking to you soon, and we'll have another call or something arranged soon, because there's a few other things that I can share with you as well. But that was the main thing I wanted to let you know, kind of what that device was and what I was getting from it, and a lot of things that were coming to me to share with you to build this thing. And I think I'll reach out to Ross at some point whenever you're ready, and make that happen between you two.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I appreciate that very much. It was great to hear your insights and kind of see the energy behind it too, because it's one of those things, like when you see it, and when you see it in person too, it's something else. Like I remember the first time putting it up on the wall and just being like, you could feel it, there's something about it. So I appreciate that connected with you, and thanks for reaching out and making this happen.
No, pleasure. Well, much love to you, and thank you for everything that you do, and I'll catch up soon, and have a wonderful day.
All right, you too. Enjoy it.
Bye.